tonight. Ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, New Hampshire Senator Shaheen. Senator Shaheen, so good to see you. So Democratic leadership in the House has told members to behave or to skip the speech altogether. You guys are a little bit more mature in the Senate. You don't need a similar message, I assume.
Well, I think people are going to go and listen to what the president has to say. I think it's an important oversight responsibility for us in the Senate. I also have a guest here, the executive director of the New Hampshire Food Bank, because we want to point out that the president hasn't been spending enough attention, paying enough attention to the cost of living that people are experiencing. My constituents are concerned about housing costs. They're concerned about the cost of food. They're concerned about the cost of childcare, and they don't see any help in sight.
Tell us about the food bank in New Hampshire. Has there been an increased number of people needing to use a food bank? I know during the government shutdown, there were a lot of government employees in the longest shutdown in history who felt the need to go to food banks. What's the situation in New Hampshire?
Well, unfortunately, even though we're a small state and we have a relatively high average annual income, what the food bank is seeing is more and more people who need help with food assistance. 1 in 9 people in New Hampshire are food insecure, 1 in 7 children. Last year, they gave out more food than ever in their history, 20 million pounds. They have 400 sites around the state. They do a great job, but unfortunately, people are being hit twice. They're being hit with the cuts to food programs that the Trump administration has put in place because of the reconciliation bill passed last year. And people are also experiencing the high costs of tariffs. The Congressional Budget Office says 95% of those tariff costs are being paid by consumers. That's about $1,600 per family. So people are feeling that, and they're struggling.
Earlier today, the president told a bunch of us reporters that he had lunch with on the record that Iran wants a deal more than he does, but they refuse to say the sacred phrase, we will not build a nuclear weapon. What's your response to that?
Well, I would hope that the president would continue to negotiate with Iran, that I think diplomacy is a better alternative than bombing or strikes against the country. And so hopefully they will stay at the negotiating table. His buildup certainly has signaled to Iran that the Trump administration is serious about trying to get a deal. So hopefully they can work it out.
The president set to devote part of the address to foreign policy. Of course, today itself marks 4 years since Russia had launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. How much attention do you expect that conflict to get tonight? What would you like to see the president say?
Well, I'd like to see the president finally put pressure on Vladimir Putin and Russia, because they're the aggressor in this war, and Putin is not going to be serious about coming to the table. I was just in Munich for the Munich Security Conference. Every leader I talked to said that they don't believe Putin is serious about negotiating, and he's not going to be serious until the president puts pressure on him. Until we put sanctions in place, we need to shut down the shadow fleet, the oil that's funding Russia's war. We need to provide weapons and equipment so the Ukrainians can continue this fight, because Russia is not winning this war. They are not going to win this war. And Donald Trump doesn't want to be on the losing side. He wants to have Putin come to the table and negotiate a peace deal, something he promised to do on day one when he was running for re-election.
It's no secret that President Trump is frustrated with the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs. You are the lead sponsor on a bill mandating refunds for those who paid the tariffs that the court struck down. Have any Republicans joined your bill?
Well, not yet, but we're working on it. And the bill would focus on small business, because large corporations are going to have the resources to go after the federal government to try and get the reimbursement. Small businesses need help with that. We put a timeline in place for 6 months to do the refunds, and hopefully we're going to see the lower courts respond to the Supreme Court decision and say to the Trump administration, you have to pay back those tariffs that have been paid 95% by consumers, by businesses in this country.
Democratic Senator Jean Shaheen from the Live Free or Die state of New Hampshire. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you.
Coming up.